the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. The Dark Magician is one of the most recognizable monsters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And today, you will have an opportunity to play as him. Sort of. Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Dungeons and Duel Monsters, the show where we take your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and turn them into Dungeons and Dragons characters. Before we get started, I think I should go over a few rules for this character creation. First, I will only be using the 5th edition book as well as its expansions to make this character. Second, I'm going to be making the character to match the card the best way I can, meaning that if I use a level 7 monster, the character will be level 7. Third, I will only be using the standard point array from the player's handbook to make this build. Feel free to roll for stats if you like, this is just how I'm going to do it for this example. The Dark Magician is a level 7 dark monster with 2500 attack and 2100 defense. To start things off, we're going to make him a level 7 human variant wizard. As a human variant, 2 different ability scores of our choice increases by 1, we get 1 proficiency and 1 skill of our choice, as well as a feat. Magic Initiate allows us to get 2 cantrips, as well as a first level spell that we can cast once per day from a single spellcasting class. Looking at the wizard spell list, we'll choose Mage Hand, which will allow us to create a spectral hand to do various things like unlock doors or pick up objects, as well as Minor Illusion, which will allow us to create an image of an object or a sound for at least a minute. And our first level spell of choice will be Mage Armor. This will make it so that way the Dark Magician's AC, or armor class, will be 13 plus his dexterity modifier. This will make it so that way he doesn't get hit as often. Next, we're going to go ahead and choose 2 skills that we are proficient in. These will get better over time as we level up. The 2 skills that we are going to choose are History and Religion. Moving on to his core stats, we're going to make his intelligence of 15, which gets bumped up to 16 on account of our racial bonus. The higher the intelligence, the more spells we can prepare, and the more spells the better. Next, we're going to make his constitution of 14, which means he can withstand more hits and stay on the battlefield for much longer. His dexterity will be 13, but with his racial bonus we'll bump that up to 14. His wisdom will be a 10, and his charisma will be an 8. We really don't hear Dark Magician talk all that often, so this will be our dump stat. Starting at level 1, he gets access to 3 cantrips and 6 level 1 spells. Cantrips are essentially level 0 spells that he can cast as many times as he likes for as long as the conditions are met. Firebolt makes a ranged spell attack against a target. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 fire damage. Blade Ward is a cantrip that will allow our Dark Magician to take half damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks. And Sword Burst. He can create a circle of spectral blades that sweep around him. Each creature within range other than himself must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 force damage. Moving on to the first level spells, Witchbolt will allow him to create an arc of lightning that deals 1d12 lightning damage, and at the end of each of his turns, he can deal an additional 1d12 lightning damage to the target automatically. Magic Missile creates 3 glowing darts of magical force. Each dart hits a creature of our choice that we can see within range. A dart deals 1d4 plus 1 force damage to its target. The darts all strike simultaneously and you can direct them to hit one or several creatures. Protection from Good and Evil provides, protection against abjurations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead for up to 10 minutes. Shield creates an invisible barrier of magical force that appears and protects him. Until the start of his next turn, he gets plus 5 bonus to his armor class, and he takes no damage from spells like Magic Missile. Thunder Wave creates a wave of thunderous force that sweeps from him. Each creature within a 15-foot cube originating from himself must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 2d8 thunder damage and is pushed 10 feet away from him. And Chromatic Orb, which he can hurl a 4-inch diameter sphere of energy at a creature that he sees within range. He can choose Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, Poison, or Thunder for the type of orb he creates, and then make a ranged spell attack against that target. If the attack hits, the creature takes 3d8 damage of the type that he chose. Upon reaching level 2, we can now determine what school of magic the Dark Magician specializes in. While he is seen casting many types of spells from Abjuration to keep himself protected, or Destruction Magic to destroy other monsters, for this example we're going to stick with the Illusion school of magic, as a lot of the cards in the archetype have Illusion in its name, so we're just going to stick with that. Reaching level 2, he can select 2 more first level spells. Detect magic will allow him to sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of him. And Disguise Self is an illusion spell that can make him look different for up to an hour. Reaching level 3, we now have access to level 2 spells and can select 2 more from the list. Mirror Image creates 3 illusory duplicates of himself that appear within his space. Until the spell ends, the duplicates move with him and mimic his actions, shifting positions so it's impossible to track which image is real. And maybe if your DM allows it, you can switch out the illusions of Dark Magician to maybe, oh I don't know, magical hats? Shadow creates a sudden loud ringing noise, painfully intense, and erupts from a point that he chooses within range. Each creature within a 10-foot radius centered on that point must make a Constitution saving throw. A creature takes 3d8 thunder damage on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. Going to level 4 allows us to have what is called an ability score improvement. We can either take an increase in our stats or select a feat. For this example, I'm going to bump his intelligence from a 16 to an 18, which means we could prepare more spells. The next 2 spells we're going to choose are Hold Person. We can choose a humanoid that we can see within range. The target must succeed a Wisdom saving throw or be paralyzed for a minute. And Cloud of Daggers. You can fill the air with spinning daggers in a cube 5 feet on each side, centered on a point that he chooses within range. A creature takes 4d4 slashing damage when it enters the spell's area for the first time, or when it starts its turn there. At level 5, we have access to 3rd level spells. Major Image will allow him to create an image of an object, creature, or some other visible phenomenon that is no larger than a 20-foot cube. The image appears in the spot that he sees within range and lasts for up to 10 minutes. Firebolt creates an explosion of flame within a 20-foot radius, and each creature must make a dexterity saving throw. A target takes 8d6 fire damage on a failsave and half as much on a successful one. Hitting level 6, we are able to now reshape our illusion spells that last longer than a minute, which means if we want to change the image on the spot, we can do so in an instant. Protection from Energy creates resistance, or half damage, of one damage type that he chooses: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Counterspell can attempt to interrupt a creature that is in process of casting a spell. If the creature is casting a spell of 3rd level or lower, its spell fails and has no effect. If it is casting a spell of 4th level or higher, make an ability check using your spell casting ability. The DC, or difficulty class, equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, this creature's spell fails and has no effect. Finally, level 7, we now have access to level 4 spells. Greater Invisibility can make himself or others invisible for at least a minute. With Vitriolic Sphere, we can point at a place within range. A glowing 1-foot ball of emerald acid streaks there and explodes within a 20-foot radius. Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a fail save, a creature takes 10d4 acid damage and 5d4 acid damage at the end of its turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half the initial damage and no damage at the end of its turn. And that about wraps up the build creation process. The only thing we need is a backstory. Magic. The essence of life itself. Conjure to perform wondrous and terrible things. There are people who seek to unlock the knowledge behind it, while others seek it for selfish and personal benefit. And there are those who seek to do both. A young prodigy of the arcane arts dedicated his life to unlocking the secrets and majesty of magic. From the protective properties of abjuration to the chaotic nature of destruction, the Dark Magician yearns to become the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. And in time he will, and pass down his knowledge for a new generation of magicians, one that may even surpass himself.